And we're back here, second hour. We finished the first hour a little bit early to get Lou on here. Lots to talk about here in this second half of the program every Thursday, 9 o'clock. You can also see him on VSIN, several programs as a contributor there. Gamblu.com. Folks, you want to follow him on Twitter, @Gamblu, because he posts stuff on there for fight night. And even if you don't gamble, it's going to allow you. Like, I was at a party on Saturday night, Lou, and you posted something out there. I didn't act on it wager-wise because I already had my own bets on there, similar to that. But I was able to tell everybody at the party and go, "Hey, here's what I think," and boom, it happened. I looked like a genius.
What, the fight started round 2 and 3?
Yes,
that one, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I look like a genius right now. And everybody's like, how'd you know that? I'm like, just kidding. I give you credit.
Born that way.
Credit. Yeah, exactly. So Uncle Lou's here as well. First of all, Lou, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I walk my dog early in the morning. I want to crap because it's cold and it's 45 degrees. And it just, as soon as I begin, I realize what the rest of like 95% of the rest of the country is dealing with. And so I just put an extra sweatshirt on and go walk my dog.
Well, then it's going to be 80 degrees on Saturday or something like
Give
that.
Give it to me. I want it. I love our heat. I'm a desert person. We are so blessed to live where we live. I really mean that. I know we get listeners from all
over the place.
We don't have winter here, and for those that miss the 4 seasons, I respect that. My wife did too. We'll drive up to Flag for a day, and there's our 4 seasons.
You drive 2 hours up the road, and you can see all that stuff.
Go down to Mount Lemmon, go up, down. You control. I control it. I get in the car and drive right away from it.
See, because you don't have seasons. I have orange, I guess you could say, tree leaves all over my ground from the wind that came through last weekend. Blew off of my tree. So I guess that's my fall that I just experienced. It doesn't happen very often.
We live in a great area. What else is up? We got the Super Bowl coming.
Yeah, next week.
So the UFC's in full swing. They're dealing with the Paramount. I know we got questions to ask about that. We're getting close to. I'm hearing people talk about the tourney this and the tourney that. So we're getting close to the March Madness thing, which is great because that means we're ebbing closer to playoff hockey. I'm just starting to pay attention to standings and maneuverings in the hockey world.
Yeah,
and of
some
course,
big trades happening in hockey right now, too.
I'm not aware of them yet.
The Golden Knights in Calgary, big trade just, a week ago or so? Yeah.
The Knights trying to stay relevant. They got a very aggressive management group there.
Colorado looks so good right now, though. I'm just telling you. Focus on Colorado is what I'm going to tell people.
Well, yeah, but when you look at the price, you can't.
Yeah,
in fact, you have to look elsewhere to see who can beat Colorado. Yeah. What could really put a burr in Colorado's saddle is the Olympics.
Yeah.
I can't wait for Olympic hockey. We have the World Baseball Classic coming up. World Cup soccer.
Yeah,
this can be a hell of a year right here. I love World Cup soccer.
Do you really? You're into that too? I'm into that. I'm really into that.
Every 4 years, I'm a big, huge soccer fan because it's so great to watch. And even those they got the Pan American games and then the Euro.
Yeah.
And it's so fun. I watch those too, and the Euro is very technical and finessey. It's like a boxer that jabs, and he's cute, and he stays on the outside. And then you watch Colombia and Brazil, and it looked like 2 heavyweight fighters slagging each other with a baseball bat. The difference in styles is really amazing.
Yeah, it is. I forgot about the World Baseball Classic. That's this year, huh?
That's this year. I already have a move on that. I'll share it here.
I thought you announced.
I'm Mr. Japan, man.
Yeah, I was going to say Japan.
All about Japan.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure you said it on air. Japan.
I'm all about Japan. And
why wouldn't you be with Ohtani and Yamamoto?
They really strive for 4 years. That's a team. Now, Ohtani and some of these other guys parachute in. But that's a team that works together for 4 years. This is a big deal.
They parachute in, but they actually go and they practice with them and they do that stuff during the off season. They don't just show up to play a game. They actually
chemistry,
over there
baby.
performing.
It's chemistry, and they work on it.
Yeah, no. And then the U.S. added Kershaw. He's retired now, and they added him to the pitch, and it's like, why?
Leadership, and maybe he wanted to be there.
He never pitched in it. So
what an honor it would be, and for me to go to the first ever World Classic baseball tournament.
But it was here, right?
And it was here, and it was U.S. against Mexico. And I was like, well, I'll roll in late, sit anywhere I want, spread out.
Yeah, nobody will be there.
And I'll get to watch not an all-star team.
Yeah.
An all-star team of both leagues. It was even better. And I walked in there. I could hardly find a seat. I thought I was at a soccer game. It was overwhelmingly Mexican fans waving flags. It was the coolest experience I've had in a long time. I was not prepared for it, and it immediately transitioned me to a huge fan.
Yeah, it's anytime. That's why I like the Olympics. They kick off next Friday. And hockey's I think 2 weeks after that, if I remember correct, or a week after that. But the Olympics. That's why I like the Olympics, man. Just something just brings it out a little bit more when it's country on country compared to just two teams battling it out. A little bit more pride, a little bit of that stuff from the people participating in it as well. So.
And especially Winter Olympics.
I do like winter
because it isn't U.S. and Russia with the big huge steamrolling everybody. The chalk to win the most gold medals. I know this because I made a wager. The chalk to win the most gold medals in the Winter Olympics. You'd never guess.
So that tells me it's a smaller country.
It's Norway.
Norway. Okay.
Figure that.
Sense.
Well,
because they'll win all those ones that you've never heard of.
They bury you in cross country skiing,
and then what's some cross country one where they stop and just shoot for no reason,
and then they cross country again. But I did take a flyer. United States plus 450, the third favorite. I got Germany at 450. They're down to 4, only because I know the Germans cheat, and I know they really want to win. And so maybe I can, if I'm close, who knows what'll happen. It's just a milk money bet. All those.
Lou just throws it out there.
I'm just
Germans.
saying, the Germans want to win. And you can trust the integrity of a gamble if you take Germany because they're doing everything they can do to win.
So with that being said, tell everybody where they can find you. Big fight this weekend in Australia. Which means we will get listeners if history precedes itself here. We'll get listeners from that part of the world and that southern Asian part of the world as
Oceania.
well. Oceania is what it's called.
Yes, sir.
So they're going, stupid, dumb American. Yeah, sometimes I am, folks, right? But welcome anyway. But tell everybody where they can find you, how you've changed things this year, where they should look you up there to see all your information and everything. As we go into this Volkanovski-Lopez fight this weekend, tell them all the info.
I'm a sports handicapper, and I was doing it when I was in high school. I had an older cousin that was a mentor to me, and many would say that's not a mentor, Uncle Lou. It was then.
He took you to the shady side of drugs or gambling. Those were my options.
Well, we were always Italians in Omaha, and there's a large Sicilian community in Omaha. That we had the barber shops. It was always kind of around. My dad never gambled. My dad hates gambling, or hated. Rest in peace, my pops. He would always say, hey, they keep building these nice big hotels for a reason, you big dummy, so just keep your day job. Anyway, I've been a sports gambler so long that I remember when I walked around like Pigpen on the Charlie Brown cartoon. The guy that had the plume of stink around him, because it would be, he gambles. It was nothing that you could be proud of. Then 7-8 years ago, PASPA shows up, changes the laws. 10 years ago, literally, you could bet on the Super Bowl legally in Nevada. Now 39 states have it. It's really come a long way. And now I get to be perceived as legit, which is great. People want to talk to me. I'm privileged enough to be on the VSIN network since their inception, talking about the sports I work. So I'm a sports handicapper. I've been doing it a long time. I am strong-minded with my opinions, and I encourage people to accept them or reject them and even debate me with them, provided it's done in a respectful manner. I know I'm not always right. In fact, when I have a great year and hit NFL this year, maybe 55%, that means 45% of the time I'm wrong. So I've been wrong before. So where to get to me is my webpage, gamblue.com. It's a one-stop shop that'll tell you everything about me. The top band shows you information about me, testimonials on me, the sports I work, Kobe's good enough to be flashing in red those bands up there. And the most important band is the San Xavier Del Bac mission that every week here, Steve lets me mention. It's the oldest mission in the United States. It's located here in Arizona, just south of Tucson. The San Xavier Del Bac mission. They're doing great work in the community. There's a tab there that you can hit and access the webpage for the mission. I encourage people to consider contributing if you have the ability to do so. But we do so regularly. It means so much to us. And that's really who I am and what I am. I am in a world of ESPNs and DraftKings and FanDuels. I'm just a little voice that is independent and strong. I have strong opinions. I'm independent. And I'm not afraid to give the fist when something is haywire. And we'll talk about some of that as we go on. And thank you so much, Steve.
But don't forget, also, the reason why you're following you on Twitter this year is you'll post all your stuff that used to be behind the paywall the last couple of years is now you're putting out there. And then the Sneak Teep podcast for this week is out.
Yep.
And then Bout Business is free again starting this year as well.
Thanks for circling back.
So,
I do two podcasts. The Sneak Teep every Sunday, Monday comes out, is a assessment of the opening lines, where the lines are a week ahead of the fights and where I think they may go. I always try and hide a hidden gem in there as well. And then the Bout Business podcast drops after weigh-ins each Friday. The weigh-ins are tonight at 8 p.m. our time, Mountain Time. So tomorrow morning early, I'll have the Bout Business podcast out. And the key to that, as Steve mentions, is that's out from behind the paywall. You can get it anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as on the Gamblu.com.
It's right there on the front there, Gamblu.com. You just scroll down there underneath the blog to see that out there. Really quick, since we're still a week away from the Super Bowl, I see here South Point put out a prop sheet already, but are we starting to see props come out on the Super Bowl, or are we more looking at more toward next week for a lot of them to come out?
Yeah, they started this week. Last night was the reveal for the Westgate. They've traditionally been the leader in the props market, and the reveal means they open up their props and they allow people stand in line. Yeah. They've got their notes written, and it's mostly wise guys trying to get in and bet. And I'll tell you, I don't really want to work this hard for the Super Bowl, so I don't get involved. But what they're doing is they're cherry picking players, items, situations, spots. And for the most part, what they're doing is they're betting overs. They're betting over. And why would they do that? Because most everybody bets overs. To get in, Steve McCollum rushes for 39 yards in the Super Bowl. They hit that. It goes up to 40, 41. And then what happens is in the next 2 weeks, that goes from 41 to 48.5. And then they'll come back and play under. They got over 39, under 48.5, and they play a lot of arbitrage, and you can make a lot of money doing it. I choose not to spend my time that way. I got fights going on and other things that I do. But what I will do is wait until prior to Super Bowl next week when we talk, Steve. I'll have some unders that I'll want to bring to everybody's attention, because I'll say, look at this one. Joe Blow opened at 10. Now he's at 20. We're taking the under. We'll just fade all the movement.
Fade the movement on that side. Okay, bro, I wanted to ask you about that, because I know traditionally, I was trying to remember, I was like, I think we wait till Super Bowl week to talk a lot of those props, but that would be
have some. DraftKings has a bunch out here. We could talk about them if you want. It's too early, really, for me. What I will say.
Oh, no, we'll go into next week when you have more thoughts on it, but to let everybody know, they are out there. If you are somebody that wants to get on them early, they're starting to pop this week. But like you said, a lot of these numbers move heavily over the next week, and then that's where it gives you the opportunity to counteract that and go against
You'll get guys that go up there and bet a couple thousand, max bet on the same thing twice to get it to move. And they'll see the thing continue to move, and they'll come back heavy on the under. It's called a head fake. It happens all the time. You got to know what you're watching out for.
The art of gambling there. So we'll talk more about that specifics next week. I know you like to bet coin toss. That's your thing.
I have fun in the Super Bowl. Yeah. Our season's over. I think I have my results somewhere. I don't have them here. We won maybe 6.5 units in the NFL this year that represented a 13 or 14% ROI, and I'm so proud of that because I'll put that up against any handicapper in the country because very, very few can beat NFL sides and totals. So I was happy with that result, especially since those bets are 10 times the size of a hockey bet or a College World Series bet or a UFC bet. And so to be able to bank the big bets bank means the bottom line is proper.
I think they opened 4-point favorites. Seattle did. I know it's 4.5 as of yesterday. I haven't looked it back up there. Just your random thought there on Seattle being 4.5-point favorites.
Yeah, opened 3.5, went to 5 immediately. It settled down to 4.5. You're getting a lot of bets on Seattle right now. The public will be on Seattle. We'll wait and see if wise guys come on the Patriots or not. At this point in time, and this is my favorite saying every year, you probably heard it, is like, Steve, do you still have your mother? Is your mom?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right, so if I go to Steve's mom and ask her who she's had the last 10 years in the Super Bowl, and we compare her record to mine, she probably beats me. This is a public game.
Yeah.
This is New Year's Eve. This is St. Patrick's Day. And you have fun with the bets. I encourage it. But if you're going to try and make money on the Super Bowl, you better be one of those guys standing in line at the Westgate last night and knowing what you're doing, because it's really, for me, it's totally recreational, and that's why I bet the coin flip. I've been betting tails for better than 40 years every year, and the last few years it's worked good for me. Will it work good for me this year? I got a 50% chance that it will.
Exactly.
That's what I know. I bet the final score will be odd. That's probably, I've only been doing that 30, 40 years maybe.
But wait, final score will be odd?
The total will be odd.
Together?
Add them together, that's an odd number. So you see, I'm just throwing a couple of I'm throwing a couple lures in the water to see if I catch a fish. I don't do Gatorade. I don't do the length of the national anthem because already that's gone up 3 or 4 seconds. And you know, if I wanted to, as soon as it opened, you take the over. And but again, I'm not really worried about working that hard. Here's what I will say. There is a sentiment, a dialogue out there about Sam Darnold not being able to do this and not being able to do that. That is the most stale, tired dialogue of this NFL calendar football season. When these athletes continue to play, and Sam Darnold's had a rough go of it, but he's persevered, he's kept his focus. From that time that kid played Little League, he wanted to win a Super Bowl. And what the populace doesn't understand is winning is a process, and the closer you get, the hungrier you get. It isn't the closer you get and you have a terrible game, you curl up and go home and cry to your mommy and quit. These guys don't know how to do that, especially Darnold. Darnold, I've been saying this for weeks here on this show. He's kicking the door in on winning the Super Bowl, and I'm all over Seattle. Take them now, take them tomorrow, take them when you want, but take Seattle. I believe Seattle's got the defense. I've done my DVOA already, and we'll spot it a little bit.
I think interesting enough, most of the public agrees with that, which is what I find interesting.
And I don't care. Usually, week 6, I'm dodging the public.
That's what I'm saying.
Super Bowl, I don't care. Yeah. If your mom and my mom agree with me, I don't get nervous. Any other week, I would. Seattle special teams 2, New England 20. Seattle defense 1, New England 23. Drake May. Starting to get wide-eyed in the big lights. And that was a tough condition he had to play in last week. I'm not taking anything away from the kid, but I'm telling you something. It's Seattle.
Well, so I made this observation on Monday, and it's gotten worse since then. A lot of the national people, a lot of that stuff have just been hyping up. All the talk is Patriots this, Patriots that, Patriots that, which tells me even they know, okay, Seattle's going to win this, so we need to hype up the Patriots to kind of get people to think they have a chance in this game kind
No,
of a deal.
the press is just ignorant. That's
all.
all.
And so it is funny when you see that this week. Next week, Seattle will get some play in there, but when you see the initial push of one team over another team, it tells you kind of where they're like, all right, we got to counteract this other side.
Well, all the news organizations and sports organizations are east of Philly, so of course that's going to be their temperature.
Yeah.
And Seattle's way out west, but I think you got a really great opportunity in this team from Seattle.
Yep. So the little Super Bowl talk. We'll talk more next week as well.
I'll have some props to share, and I'll have stuff we can talk about.
Dale, before he left today, said that you were going to break down the Royal Rumble. Robert reminds me that Dale said that you're going to do that. That is Saturday as well. You can watch that before you tune over to UFC. So, Lou, give it to us Royal Rumble bets for this weekend.
Yeah, well, can I ask one question? What is the Royal Rumble?
It's WWE stuff.
Oh, that's right.
From Saudi Arabia. Yeah.
You remember Luke and Laura from General Hospital? That's what Royal Rumble is. It's a soap opera. I know. And you know what the UFC's getting to be? The Royal Rumble.
Yeah, well, that's what I set up here.
That.
That's what I set up here coming into this segment. You obviously heard it there. It's just, like I said, you can do stupid stuff, right, with the commercials. That was a big topic of conversation in the press conference.
Listen, just like Dana said, they got to make some money somehow. Screw these kids don't want to.
Well, people were like, well, I like to see the walkouts. Well, to me, I'm like getting pizza and a drink while the walkouts are happening. But I understand some people like that stuff, and everything. So you get into that stupid stuff in terms of controversy after the first Paramount. But, we'll get into the decisions here because I do have a couple questions on that here as we look back at last week here. But my main overarching thing here is just these eye pokes, man, with these fingers. I don't think any of them were intentional this weekend, but they're doing serious damage, and it's affecting these fights on that. I don't even know at this point if taking a point away is going to matter because it changes the fight so much. Don't you have to change something with the gloves or something to stop these from happening?
No, you have to quit teetering as to whether it's a poke or not. Gaethje's poke to Pimlet. The first one was a poke. The second one was a fist where the thumb hit the side of the eye. That was not a poke.
Yeah, Patty moved and the thumb hit him in the eye.
It hit him in the knuckle hit him in the. I get it. The Rose deal was terrible on many levels because she got eye poked as well. She won the fight, but they didn't award her the decision. I had Silva.
That's issue number 2.
I had the, and I've had so many of those go against me. It infuriates you. But this one went for me. I'm not going to apologize. But eye pokes, yes, it automatic lose the round by 2 points, and they'll clench their fists. We've talked about this before. It's strategic to be able to poke your opponent in the eye if there's going to be no repercussion to you. Why wouldn't you do it? And they're going to continue to do it.
Did you think these were intentional eye
None
pokes,
of them.
though? I didn't think so either. I think it was just in the – and that was my point.
No, they paw. Yeah. They paw, but I'm telling you what.
Some of the other ones are intentional.
You want to see – you got their attention with 100 Gs for the knockout of the night, and they want that 100 Gs. You know what? You take 2 points from them in a round, and they'll keep those fists tight. You got to really increase the severity of the penalty, not only for the eye pokes, but for missing weight.
So that was my first question. My second question, I'm going to ask you about a few of these fights. In the early prelims.
And, I never bring last week's card in. I brought it in.
Oh, did you? Okay, I was going to say, it's more of the what happened during it because all these fighters in this fight are being set up for something else, or they're named guys that are going to continue
Many
to fight,
of them, yes.
in this fight. I found it interesting. Now, let me ask you this. One fight was canceled because of abnormal – they were alerted of abnormal betting. From what I read and heard, and I don't know if it's true, one of the guys had an injury, and it got out. Somehow it got out, and then everybody slammed – a bunch of people went and slammed large money against him in the fight, alerted everybody.
Well,
somebody got to Dana, so they just pulled the fight.
Books. The first book that noticed it was Tom Gable's book up in Jersey, in Atlantic City. He's on the VSIN program. We were Dave Ross, the host of the VSIN First Strike, and myself were all texting. He says we pulled this down because a bunch of money came in on Michael Johnson against Alexander
in Atlantic
Hernandez.
City, because I would have thought Vegas would have been the one that would have been the first to do some gambling.
Yeah,
just because the fights were there, but I mean, it makes sense.
They weren't the one that discovered it.
Yeah.
Tom Gable discovered it. He says, we're taking it down because we've just seen this guy go from, minus 190 down. Now he's down to, minus 105 kind of thing. Something smelly going on over there.
And it moved quick.
It moved quick. I even said the day of the weigh-ins, hey, something smelly going on one of these fights here. And everybody's like, which fight? I'm like, hey, do your own work, man. I'm all over it. Anyway, what happened was Hernandez had some form of issue where they thought he might not be able to compete. And so a day or two ahead of time, they approached the UFC that this could be iffy. And then something happened. What does that tell you? Mm-hmm. Somebody inside the UFC got some loose lips, bro. Yeah. I'm telling you, ain't no secrets in the world. So it got out where it shouldn't have gotten out.
Or a janitor overheard it. And
whoever it was,
Vegas,
it was. That's what happened.
Yeah.
And so an hour before fight time, they pulled the fight and they asked Dana, well, Dana, what? He says, hey, I've done this before. And he was obstinate and he let that Bulgarian fight go on. And he's like, I'm not going through that again. Well, good for him. He doesn't need the headache.
But I was reading also, he doesn't want the FBI heat. The FBI's involved with it, but he didn't want to mess around on their side, which tells me maybe he got slapped down a little bit by the FBI by letting that other fight go.
Oh no!
We're at the point now where he's like, all right, we're not messing.
Yeah, no, he won't. He won't ever again. He don't want that heat.
That tells me that the government came down on him a little bit. Like
Dana's
up
President Trump's rear end like a splinter. I'm just telling you. So they're tight, and he don't want it. So and that's good because we as gamblers need to know. About that our sport has integrity, and so who always catches it? The sports books do. They have the most to lose with the thing, and there's watchdog organizations that are third party that these sports books hire to protect their rear end.
People don't know
it too.
But I mean, the Resorts World got a huge multi-million-dollar fine because they were not catching bad things happening in their casino. So these sportsbooks can get shut down and lose their licenses by the government if they're aiding illegal stuff on top of it. So they keep it on the up and up. But you have that showing integrity in the sport, and then some of these decisions tell you, all right, maybe there's not as much integrity in this sport as we go through it. Before we get to those matches, early prelims here, I found this interesting. With the new wagers here, the new bonuses out there, both early prelim fights were performances of the night. This was Fugit and Miller in that fight there, and then the Hokit-Freeman fight as well. Dana in the past did not really, every once in a while an early prelim fight would win an award, but tonight both of them did in that fight. Is that just a byproduct of the bonuses getting spread around a little bit more? No, were those fights really deserving it?
No, they finished the fight. And if you finish your opponent, you get 50 Gs. So, and the first three fights
both of them
were
were first round KOs too.
No, so you get a finish, you get 50 Gs. So a guy like Hokit showing up, that he's probably making 12 and 12. 12 to show up to fight, 12 if you win.
The early prelim guys aren't making a ton of money. No.
Oh, no. So there's 24. You throw 50 on top of it, all of a sudden, that's a decent day's worth of work.
And I enjoyed both those early prelim fights. I thought that was really well put together.
Then Hokit coming out with all the who was the guy? Who was that guy in the WWE with the glasses? The mayor of Minnesota, or the
Jesse Ventura.
Jesse Ventura. This Hokit has that shtick.
Yeah.
And I'm not crazy about it, but that's the direction we're going.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing I want to bring up here as we go on. A lot more flamboyancy in this fight than we've seen before as well. But Alex Perez, Charles Johnson won. Of course, I was on Johnson's side, as most people.
As was I.
Was a 190 favorite as that fight started. I just happened to look right before it started. Alex Perez goes in there, had some questionable stuff on weigh-in day. And then Alex Perez goes in there and just dominates that fight over Charles Johnson.
Well, first of all, Charles Johnson gets rung up every fight. But listen, Perez came out for the weigh-ins 5 minutes after the weigh-ins started, and he missed the limit, meaning if he's supposed to weigh 125, these guys are 25ers, right? Yeah.
Flyweights.
He's supposed to be 125. He misses the 26, 2.5 pounds, comes in 28.5. Well, he's a smaller guy. He's in with a big striker. Why not let the bigger, larger man cut all that weight, compromise himself? I'll give up 20% of my purse to have unbelievable advantage in this fight. And so he didn't have to. He started drinking orange juice and everything while Johnson's still cutting weight. It was clear, focused, absolute cheating. And then not only does the UFC didn't, he finished Johnson. He didn't get the 50 because if you miss weight, you don't get the 50. I'll support that. Yep. But then they give him a new contract. He's missed weight before.
They expanded. I was going to say, this isn't the first time he's done this.
No, and it's just distasteful. Yeah. And I'm here to tell you, when I see it, I'm going to call it out. Can I change it? Probably not. Am I getting fed up with it? Close. But it is what it is. But when I see it, I'm calling it out. Perez cheated to get that other contract. And look, it worked well for him. Why won't others do that?
That's what I was just
if that's going to be the result?
If you're on your last fight of the deal, you're not sure you're going to get re-signed.
You got a tough
go
fight,
out and do it.
And if you're a wrestler like him against a big striker, boy, that not cutting that extra weight gives you energy, gives you ability to take down. If you're a striker and you do it, it's the same thing. I've got the 2.5 extra pounds. The wrestler cut all that weight. He's weak, had to recover. It's going to help me defend the takedown better. So it doesn't matter. Anyone can cheat. Many do. And when they do, I'm calling it out. Now, if Perez would have come out, 5 minutes before weigh-ins ended and missed the weight, that's a little different thing right there. I'm not going to be so vocal.
Because he might be trying to cut it and he just
more
can't
than
get
likely
it off,
he's
right?
trying, or he's just back there waiting and making it look good. None of them are smart enough to do that yet.
Well, that's the controversy side of that. But the other side of it, I was thinking before I saw your tweet and some other stuff, was I made a mental note and I was like, all right, those are fights that I'm not going to pay attention to for gambling purposes and stuff like that. If guys are going to be so blatant about missing weight, because they're missing weight for a reason. And it seems to me in my trend, guys that do this type of stuff, they tend to win the fights. I don't have specifics on it. I haven't tracked it that well, but they always seem to, at least in my memory bank, they always seem to win it.
It's a little better for the cheater. It
exactly.
is a little better for the cheater.
And so it's like, why you got to pay attention to that going into them, right? As we look into that.
I try and pay attention to everything.
I know you had a good weekend, weren't you?
Yes, I had a huge weekend, but the first fight of the year after last year, which was not a great year, was this Johnson fight, and I'm like, I was like, I'm ready to quit. I'm quitting, man.
Right,
is this how this is going to go? And then I didn't lose one after that.
I wanted to ask you about Gautier, right?
Yes.
They're from Cameroon and that stuff.
And Poulayev.
He disappointed me in this fight a little bit. Now, but it's because Poulayev was like just bouncing around. Gautier didn't go chase him, and he was starting to get tired as he was trying to chase him and stuff like that. Was that just a fight from your perspective? Was that just a fight of two mismatched guys? One that's kind of more stoic and another guy that just jumped around a lot? Or did Gautier actually disappoint in this fight?
Poulayev fought a good fight there. He had the UFC experience. He'd been in with better. Mm-hmm. And that's why I went to start too. Listen, you don't just keep murdering people. And this young man from Cameroon, Gautier, he beat 3 complete meatballs, aren't even in the UFC anymore. Okay, so he looked great. But when he finally gets a fight and he gets this Russian grappler who didn't grapple but stood with him, and the guy was tough and willing, and it was good for Gautier to have to go 3. What's going to happen is he's going to look great when he gets stand-up fights, but as soon as he gets some unrelenting wrestling pressure, he's going to get tied up like a pretzel because I don't think he can spell wrestling, let alone defend a takedown. I haven't seen it. I can't claim that's the case, but that's my hypothesis. And in time, we'll find out because if he continues to win, he's going to get placed against better competition, and the better competition becomes more well-rounded, which means they can press him against the cage. What's the best way to suck the gas out of that guy? Make him wrestle. Make him burn those arms out trying to get you away from him.
I think you saw it there with the way he had to kind of chase the other fighter. You could kind of see. I felt like he was getting tired during that
sure.
fight, just chasing that around. So I kind of told you on that side. But those are when I watch fights, I can't tell. I'm like, all right, so is that guy just sucking, or does that other guy have a good strategy here that's going against it? And that's where I struggle to figure out which.
Yeah, I come away
way
thinking Haya Puliev, and I come away thinking Goche is susceptible to a well-rounded fighter.
Umar Nurmagomedov and figure it went kind of the way you wanted there. I just wanted to ask, any disappointment in Umar in that fight?
Not at all. I was disappointed in Figgy. Figgy didn't want to fight. He just tried to make 3 rounds. He didn't do anything that would give Umar the chance to win the fight. Umar had to chase him the whole time. Umar Nurmagomedov is the best 135er in the weight class. Jan is the champ. They'll probably make O'Malley and Umar fight. Jan, I'm not a matchmaker. We'll see what happens, but Umar is going to be the champ at the end of the year because he's the best in the division.
This White House fight changes things because obviously you want that to be as star-studded as
That's
possible
probably O'Malley and
in
Jan.
June. So that's going to mess up a lot of what they probably had an idea where to go to because you want every star in that fight.
Well, they wanted O'Malley to win the fight. We talked about that last week. He earned the fight. He won the fight. He won the first, gave the second away, and
you're talking about
looked
O'Malley?
great in the third. Yes.
Yeah. See. Yeah, I know. So I mean, O'Malley just doesn't impress me. I know it's a weird thing to say.
It is because that's a world-class son of a so-and-so that he was in against.
But that's like I said, when I'm watching,
hombre.
and that's what I'm getting at. When I'm watching a fight, I go, O'Malley doesn't look good. But I also don't know how good Song Yadong is.
He's a beast.
Right? And how he struggled against him.
Not too many guys were beating him that night, Steve. I'm telling you. He
fought
well.
You could see it. And that's where I'm like, all right, well, O'Malley's supposed to be this like big, huge champion. I know he lost the 2. Against the wrestler, and you're just sitting there like, what's the difference? But that's where I still struggle when I watch these things, right? Derek Lewis, 43-year-old man. We knew he was going to run out of gas, but he didn't even show up with juice.
He's out of juice. The kid, he couldn't catch up with the young kid. He gave up. He couldn't catch him. He knew early wasn't going to catch him, and so then that was that. He'll probably hang around in the UFC for a while longer because he's got that one punch
more
power.
Paycheck,
And meanwhile, the other man that he fought, Cortez Waldo Acosta, trains here in Arizona, so he's a home state guy. You always want to support him. He's got power, way faster than Lewis, but I still think he has some improving to do. But the UFC likes him, and we're going to see him again.
I like him a lot, too. He's not your typical heavyweight where he stands in a spot and just throws. He will move.
He can move.
He will make you move, and I like that a lot. He's not just that guy that stands in the middle and it's like, we're just going to pound against each other.
That's right.
He actually going to make you work to try to get a hold of him. I think Silver probably lost that fight against Rose when it came to the decision. Your thoughts on that?
I had Silva. I was awarded the winner. I don't judge fights. I just try and pick a winner. I had a loser, Rose Namajunas, crying after the fight. Is unfortunate, but you see Natalia Silva. She's cute and beautiful as a button with the hair. If you watched her in the weigh-ins, she comes out in an evening gown and she looks sizzling. And that's the magnetism they want. Rose, with the buzzed hair and everything, she's been around. This is her second division. She's been around 7, 8, 10 years in the UFC. And after you chew on that gum enough, you throw it out. And we'll see with some of these older against younger, new age fighters, they're trying to clean the house. They tried to do it with Gaethje. Only problem with Gaethje is he spoiled the plan because he wasn't going to let Paddy Pimblett beat him.
Just really quick on either John Silver or Arnold Allen, your thoughts on those two guys. Silver ended up getting that win.
Yeah, and he earned the win. Arnold Allen, I was totally jobbed on that one because that was Allen won the first round, and that was 3-2. That was 3-1, meaning 29-28 for Silva, but one judge had 3 rounds for Silva.
Yeah.
That cost me my points handicap.
Yeah, because I went points on that too.
I did lose 2 of them, actually.
Yeah, but 3.5 points there, and we lost it.
That really chapped me. That was terrible. That's terrible judging.
And that's my point. I did not have that as a unanimous victory, and Silva ended up getting
no
unanimous.
one did. Everyone had it 29-28.
Except for the one judge, and that ends up costing us that point there. That's kind of goes to that judging question that, like, the integrity, they pull the fight off, but then you got these question marks on the judging side of how did they see it that way? When a novice saw it, and I was like, okay, that guy did not win that unanimously.
Well, everybody saw the other fight. Well, and there's layers to that. But basically, that's a complex issue because whatever state you're in this case, Nevada, you have to adhere to that state's fight commission, which is umbilical to boxing. And anything to do with boxing is laced with greed, avarice, and destruction. And so the biggest issue is that these MMA judges come from boxing and they don't know what they're doing half the time. They're getting better. There's improvements to be made, but that's no easy fix.
So then the final fight there, Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje. Paddy Pimblett, I'm not a fan of him. He just runs his mouth too much. I find it really annoying. And he's one of those guys that I'm just like, all right, let's see him get his face pummeled in here.
That's what you saw.
Well, you saw that, but I will give him credit. He can take some punches.
Those Scousers don't go easy. Even Gaethje said afterwards, man, that dude's tough.
It's like anybody else you would have seen just crumble at some point. And he just stood there and took the eye poke, took all of that stuff
he was much larger than Gaethje.
I was surprised at how big he was when he went in there.
He's huge. Yeah. And what I'll say for Pimblett,
he's got to get his hands up, though.
Yes, he has. He's got to get his hands up and his chin down.
Yes.
But that's the typical European boxing style.
He ain't gonna survive though. 3 or 4 more fights like that.
He's gonna improve madly after this fight. And I would say, depending on the matchup, Pimblett's probably a bet on moving forward, and Justin may be a bet again.
Gaethje, so who's set up next for Gaethje here as the champion?
More than likely, Ilya Topuria, who is away. He's the title holder. Gaethje's the interim. Yeah. You would think they'll fight. Those two will fight. And Gaethje, primarily a stand-up guy against Ilya. That's a terrible matchup for Gaethje. One that I worry about.
By the way, from Stafford, Arizona, the Gaethje family from Stafford, Arizona.
Yes.
Fighting out of Colorado now. But I'll say this, Paddy Pimblett impressed me in that fight.
Sure, impressed me too.
His wife put out a picture the next day, and his face is just all beat up and red.
Yeah, his lips are swollen, his nose is all
I did like
up.
Afterwards, he's just talking, and you're just like,
he was humble in defeat. He said the better man won. He showed to be a professional mixed martial artist to me, and my respect for him grew.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I going into that fight, I just couldn't stand him.
I wanted him. I wanted to see him get the poop kicked out of him. We saw that, and my bet to fight. The fight starts round 3. I got that. After that, I pulled up with a cocktail and watched the rest of the fight.
Watch the rest of it, right? So when we come back here, we'll get into, of course, this week's fights going down to Australia this weekend. The fight isn't early at all. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when it kicks off here. They get screwed there in Australia more than we do.
They do. It's Sunday morning in Australia, but the Paramount, we now know the Paramount structure. 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m. Just count, or 6, 4, and 2, whatever it is. Yeah. That's what it's going to be week in and week out. So that's kind of nice for we Americans.
So we'll talk about this fight coming up. Volkanovski and Lopez in this fight, and a bunch of big names on this one as well. Another numbered fight coming our way. So come on back. The main event with Uncle Lou. And we're back here. Main event Thursdays, 9 o'clock, second hour of the show. Uncle Lou comes in. We just got going back. If you don't know the format that we do here, I know it's Thursday and it's hard to go back and look, but we like to ask the questions on changes of opinions on fighters and what we saw last week as well to kind of help us novices out there learn more about the sport. So that's why we look back, and of course now we look forward.
Yes.
Big fight this weekend, Lou.
Okay.
Same thing, early prelims on this one being a numbered event and everything. And then being in Australia, a lot of early prelims on guys that I've never heard of.
Well, and you lead me into that perfect. This fight card has 14 fights scheduled on it. The first 4 fights, the first 4 that I will miss, by the way, because I'm going to the MMA lab Saturday to take in some training. And then I'm meeting some guys down at Rosita's Mexican restaurant on 22nd Avenue in McDowell in Phoenix. Oh, man, is it good. We're going to eat lunch. And we're going to eat lunch because I don't have to race back. These first 4 fights on this fight card are not UFC athletes.
Yeah.
They're athletes from the Eastern Hemisphere that are competing on road to the UFC. So unless you're in the UFC, I don't handicap you. I leave that. There's a bunch of other guys that handicap all these other organizations, and they're so good at it. I don't. You got to get to the bigs for me to handicap you. And these 4 fights, the winners will get moved into the bigs, and at that time, I will watch them. So of the 14 fights, 10 of them are available for our discussion and dialogue today. So those.
By the way, I
4,
will have these fights on my television because, as I tell people, I'm supporting this because I do not want them to go back to pay-per-view ever again. So I will have my TV on even if I'm not paying attention to these fights.
I don't think
to support the ratings kind of a deal. Is what I'm gonna be doing.
The UFC's growth is such it doesn't ever go back.
My one matters, Lou. My one view matters.
Yeah, sure it does. Sure it does.
So so we'll skip the early prelims. That's what's happening there. That goes up until but the
Ofi and Yisa.
Yep, that's the first one here to pay attention to.
Ofi and it's actually Jia Yi, a Chinese fighter against an Aussie. Ofli is a fighting out of Australia, but he's a Turk. And I love you get a Chinese guy against a Turkish guy. Just good, clean fun. Both 5'7". Jia Yi is 29. Ofi 32. Substantial reach difference for Jia Yi, and he's a sub guy. Interestingly enough, Ofli 1 and 2 in the UFC, and I'm reading this. He's also a sub guy, and I'm reading this because, to be completely candid, I'm not overly versed on either of these two, and for that reason, I'll watch this fight, take notes. It's a due diligence fight for me to gain some knowledge on each guy. But then when we go into these other fights, I'll have much more
absolutely
educated
let's
opinions.
get into the prelim fights here next. There's a bunch of guys that we've seen fight before, like Torres Finney is coming up here as well. Cody Brundage, just names Junior Tafa. I've seen them fight before and everything. But I'm going to leave it to you on the prelims as well here because I just don't recognize a lot of these names. Which fights here should we be paying attention to on the prelim side?
Well, I'm going to scrape each one just a little bit. And I think I like some dogs this week, and I think that most of them are non-Australians fighting Australians. And this first one is Jonathan McCallum, 26-year-old, 6 feet, lefty, who's won last 3 fights, all by knockout. Comes in with great confidence and motivation. Fighting a guy in Oban Elliott that's going to be giving away a substantial 5-inch reach advantage. Oban Elliott is from Wales, so he travels a little bit to get there. And, of course, anyone from Australia isn't traveling that far. Even if they're from Perth, they just have to go.
That's a 5-hour flight.
It's a pretty good hour. Yeah, but 5 hours ain't Brazil or United States.
Across the ocean, right?
So McCallum is going to have the hype. His fight opened -110 each. Now you can see McCallum, and McCallum is now priced at, and I'm going to
-135 on DraftKings right now.
Oh, now you're at DraftKings. You used to be FanDuel. Is that for
no,
NFL?
FanDuel's NFL, and then Draft. FanDuel doesn't do UFC numbers earlier in the week. That's my problem with FanDuel. That's why I use DraftKings for that.
Yeah, so 130. So there's obviously you've seen some action come in on the Australian, and that's Australian money, and people thinking the Aussie's going to have the benefit of home cooking if it's a close fight. Oban Elliott's no slouch, coming in off a loss, a KO loss, I'll say. So I think Oban Elliott could be live, and I think he could be poised for a good showing here and surprise McCallum. We'll have to see.
Well, let me ask you this, because you said he got knocked out last time. Over under on this fight's 2.5 minus 215 to the over. Obviously, they're expecting a decision here coming into this.
Yeah, I think they're expecting a close competitive fight, and I tend to agree there.
Okay.
And if I try and grab Elliott with the 3.5 points, I'm probably going to pay a price. So this one will probably be
minus 180.
Yeah, am I going to take Oban Elliott? So that tells me right now that it's going to be a decision, and so. I either consider taking the over, I take the fight goes to the distance and use it in a parlay, or I might dip my toe in the Oban Elliott Welsh waters.
Plus 114 right now if you want to go that route.
Yeah. So,
for Elliott there.
And if you're looking at any of these dogs, don't be in a hurry. Wait, because as we get closer to the fight, that's when everybody, and after weigh-ins, that's when everybody's going to be betting these Aussies.
And then next up, you got Jacob McCollum and Torres Finney?
Yeah, Malkoon and Finney. Finney is, if Finney was 2 inches taller, he'd be square. He's just a complete fire hydrant of a guy, all wrestling. He throws punches, but they're just looping. He's not versed at throwing punches. He's a wrestler. He's going to sell out to wrestle. He doesn't care about anything other than trying to win a fight. And Malkoon is a guy that's got UFC experience. He's a wrestling-based fighter, has well more striking advantage than Finney does. The issue is I don't think Malkoon going to be able to keep Finney off him. I think Finney going to just go just absolutely dick butt kiss middle linebacker this kid, get him down, get on top, and try and rain damage. I think there's a great opportunity in the Finney side here. I wrote him up on the VSIN article as well. The Gamblu.com webpage has him as a release. And I think Finney's in a good position. We caught him at like 190, and I think right now
130 right now.
Yeah, he's down way lower than that. So part of my battle is done. I got the best of the number. Now my kid's got to go win.
Yeah, now he's got to go get there, right? Over under on that, by the way, also a 2.5 minus 210 to the over.
Yeah, two tough, durable guys. Yeah.
Well, wrestlers tend, unless there's a tap out, right? They tend to spend a lot of time just rolling around down there.
Yeah, and people don't like that, especially with all these new violence-encouraged bonuses and stuff. But really, you get 2 BJJs or 2 wrestlers. I love watching that. I know I'm in the minority.
My problem is I think it's just you don't understand. Like when they get on the ground, even the announcers are telling you what's happening, and you're like, "What?" I'm like looking at the TV, like, "What are you talking about?"
It's taken me years of going to the MMA lab, standing there cage side, listening to the coaches tell these guys what to do, for me to comprehend it and begin to understand it. And I'm really only scratching the surface. So, but that exposure's really helped me.
Yep, and then I know that's something I got to start doing, getting into the gyms here and listening to that stuff and paying attention to it. Next up, we got Cody Brundage, who we've seen fight before, against Cam Rouston here. Cody, of course, from the United States against another United States versus Australian fighter here as well. Brundage is a big dog in this fight, though, plus 285 right now.
Yeah, and so Rouston's 360, and when Rouston was minus 185, I called a couple guys and said to take him big because he's going to close at close to 400. Rouston is going to be 3 inches taller. They're both the same age. Rouston's got a 6-inch reach advantage. Rouston is out of City Kickboxing. They know how to deal with wrestling. Brundage has UFC experience. He's probably been in with better. He just had another child, or he's about to have another child, so he's totally focused. He wants to win. The issue is that I'm not quite certain that Brundage belongs in the UFC, and this fight might highlight that. I think Rouston, this is a fight designed to make Rouston look really good, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Over under on this fight is 1.5. It's minus 110 to the over, minus 120 to the under.
Yeah, so what does that tell you?
It's going to be,
Brundage isn't a finisher.
Yeah, exactly, right? It's set up for Rouston to look good is what that tells you, right? Then you've got here as well Junior Tafa, Billy Elikana. Excuse me.
Yeah, you think Elikana's the Aussie, but it's Tafa.
No,
and these are 205ers. Tafa's very, very limited. He's on this card because he's an Aussie and he's got a brother that's a heavyweight. I look for Elikana to run through this guy like food through a goose. And I would even ask you to take a look at maybe Elikana via submission in this fight. Tafa has been subbed prior, and if you want a price, I mean, you're looking at Elicana minus 250.
Yeah.
You take him via sub, you're going to get plus something. I don't know that I'll be wandering in that water or in that fight, but that's how I view that one.
Over under is 1.5. The over is minus 160 right now. On that side, could you see that line moving at all to 2.5 at all, or just stay at 1.5?
No, if it moves, it'll be juice.
Okay.
I mean, I think Elicana finishes Tafa. Tafa's been finished. You just don't know when.
Yeah, the question is
maybe
when.
you look at fight, don't go the distance, but you'll pay a price.
Yeah, then we get into the main cards here as well. 7 p.m. our time here as well from Sydney Olympic Park in Australia. You got Salkillo and then Malarkey out there. Jamie Malarkey, both Australian fighters here.
So, yeah, they are. Salkilled. He's a bright, up-and-coming fighter.
He looks like he's 40.
He's 26, and he's got a 5-year age advantage over Malarkey. And Salkilled is just a simple finisher. Whether it's sub or KO, he's had tremendous success finishing fighters, but he hasn't been in with a real deep set of talent in the UFC yet. Now, he was supposed to fight China's Rong Zhu, and Rong Zhu had to pull out of the fight. And Salkilled wanted to be on this card so bad. What I mean, if I'm in Nebraska and there's a Nebraska fight card, I want on that card. Salkilled wanted on the Aussie card. He begged UFC to do something. UFC did something. They found Jamie Malarkey, another Aussie fighter that's never stopped training. In fact, in the interviews, Malarkey said, "Yeah, there were two other lightweight fights on the card." And so I knew if one guy stubs a toe or something, they could call me. So he was training. Malarkey is game. He's tough. He's a brawler, but he gets finished. And he's had, let's call it 6 UFC fights, and he's maybe 3-3, but he's been finished brutally in all 3 of those. So here's the deal. Salkilled going to try and go out and touch Malarkey. But I listened to Malarkey in the fighter interviews. He's game. He's willing. He's tough. He wants to test this guy. He's confident, and he's a huge underdog, one that I might take a little stab at.
Minus 1,050 is what Salkilled's at right now, plus 675 from Malarkey. Over or under 1.5 here, minus 160. Should you look at
minus
rounds?
160 what?
I'm sorry, to the under.
To the under.
Yeah, so they think there's a quick finish coming here.
Yeah.
Maybe look at start to round 2 here.
That's what now you're reading my mind. Yeah, because you're going to get a plus price there. Just like we played with Puliev and Gaucher, I think Malarkey's got more for Salkilled than Salkilled knows or anyone watching the fights.
Now, they're both Australian fighters. They both fight in Australian. Does that mean they've I'm going to say they know each other, but
they've met, they've talked to each other, they
yeah.
bumped into each other before.
And they're very familiar with each other.
And that's what's great about the UFC. When they're done, they'll go drink a couple pints of Coopers together, and and when they see each other before, they shake hands, no big deal.
That is the most amazing thing to see, and I've had people that I've watched the UFC with comment where these guys just beat the brains out of each other. Then after the fight, they're hugging each other.
Yeah, right.
They're like, "Oh, great fight,
yeah,
love you." Even the losers like, "Hey, appreciate you." Next up, we got, I'm not saying this, Vasa against Teixeira here in this heavyweight bout here. Teixeira, we've seen a few times fight as well and everything, so tell us about this fight.
Steve, are you a chef? Because you just cut up those names pretty good.
Yeah, thank you.
There.
I know. Appreciate
Tai
it.
Tuivasa is a guy that's retired from the UFC, and then he's the guy that drinks the shoeies, the beer, and he goes and finds some cowboy that hasn't bathed in 6 months. He says, "Give me your boot." He puts a beer in there and drinks it out of there. Oh boy!
Gives him his power.
Anyway, he's got tremendous popularity, but he was getting the brains beat out of him. And he's a heavy guy. He trains, sure, but he probably trains as much at the burrito stand as he does in the gym. In any case, he retired for a while. Now he's back. Well, flipping burgers at McDonald's doesn't pay as good as standing in the cage and getting your temples kicked with a heel. In this fight, he goes up and he's got the experience, and he's also got level of competition faced. This guy Teixeira, in his last fight, got knocked out cold and clean by the Black Beast.
It was pretty quick, too, if I remember correctly.
I think it was Derek Lewis. And so Teixeira's 5 inches taller. He's 6 years younger. He's got a 7-inch reach advantage. But he's gangly, and I don't know how legit he is as a heavyweight. Here's one where I might think Ty might have a shot. We'll have to see. Heavyweight fights are always fun on the main card. I just don't know what this Teixeira has just yet.
Over under 1.5 for this fight, minus 298 to the under right here. So they're saying these guys are just going to get in the middle and then just pound on each other.
And flail.
And best man standing.
Yeah, that one might be one I'd look at over as well, only because after a round, these two guys are going to be tuckered. They may just drape them. May look like a slow dance at the high school prom, these two.
Yeah. Interesting enough there. Rafael, you give me the visuals that just amaze me. Rafael Fiziev. Thank you. Morocco Ruffy here. If I screwed up Ruffy, I give up.
No, he's Brazilian, so he pronounces it Hoofy. In what's going to be an unbelievable fight. Neither of these two dudes doesn't even want to talk wrestling, let alone try and spell it. Fiziev is the striking coach at Tiger Muay Thai in Phuket, a gym I've been privileged enough to go visit before. Hoofy is one of the fighting nerds. Jean Silva last week is a fighting nerd. Hoofy's another one. Hoofy's best remembered by that spinning kick of Bobby Green that just put him down like a suit falling off a hanger, man. Yeah. It was ugly. This Hoofy is a flamboyant capoeira striker. He needs distance, and he's going to hit you with elbows, knees, shins, heels, foreheads, anything he's got. And it's spinning, it's jumping, it's kicking, and it's lunging. On the other side, you got Fiziev, short, more compact, but he has matrix-like movement in defense. So when Hoofy throws one of those kicks, Fiziev's going to move his chin back, and that heel's going to come and just give him a close shave.
It's going to be like the Matrix.
Ideally, that's what's going to happen. Fiziev's been in with better, and I keep saying he's been in with better. When you fight a bunch of guys up here, then you fight a guy here, you got the advantage. I'm just saying that's why I always make sure and mention that. Fiziev's been in with better. He's got more UFC experience. He's a teacher. The issue is going to be the length and size, and so the cat and mouse game for this fight will be how's Fiziev going to penetrate and get inside to be able to strike Hoofy. Can he tire him out in a 3-round fight in order to get inside? Fiziev has shown the ability himself to lose a little energy in the later rounds. This should be a really interesting fight. This fight opened a dead pick'em, and now you can see money's come in on Hoofy a little bit.
Minus 120 right now.
Hoofy has had to fly in from Brazil. We'll have to check weigh-ins tonight. Fiziev, again, from Phuket. That's a very easy little hop, skip, and a jump to get to Australia. So Fiziev will have the crowd, and he'll have travel on his side, as well as UFC experience and level of competition faced. Fiziev is a strong consideration.
Yeah, plus 100 right now. Over under 2.5, minus 180 to the over on this fight. So you don't, unless one of those, like you said, kicks connects here and takes him down.
I see a decision here. One guy's going to decision the other. These are two pretty world-class fighters.
Perfect. And then next up, we got Dan Hooker. If you tell me I said that wrong, with the from New Zealand.
Don't hook with a hooker.
And then Benoit Saint Denis.
Pretty good.
I remember last time you made fun of me for him last time.
Saint Denis, a Frenchman. Saint Denis looked like the new coming of the best fighter in the world for a few fights, and they rushed him into Poirier, and then he had a setback or two. But he's recovered. He's won a few fights, and he's risen back after being given too much too soon. He's a French paratrooper. He's a war hero in France. Anybody serves their country gets my respect. And so he comes from that background, wants to be good at this, working his rear end off. In his last fight, Saint Denis dominated someone. I'm not going to remember who it is. But in the fights that Saint Denis had trouble with, he's had trouble with guys that can bully him, guys that have power, and guys that can back him up. And this Hooker is an absolute maniacal Australian striker. Hooker's recently had a fight against a guy named Mateus Gamrot, who's a world-class Polish wrestler, grappler, and he fared well. He got a decision that was a close one. Many think Gamrot won. Many think Hooker won. I thought Gamrot won, but the bottom line was Hooker fared well against that test, and I think that test is at least on level with Benoit Saint Denis, if not above. This is a fight where I believe Saint Denis is getting way overcompensated and bet, and Hooker is getting completely overlooked. And I like Dan Hood. He's loose for this thing. He's cracking jokes at the interviews. I think I like Hooker here. He's an Aussie I do like as an underdog, and he's a big dog. Yeah,
isn't that Fighting Words calling somebody from New Zealand Australian? Don't they hate that? I don't know. I think they hate that.
Who?
He's from New Zealand, according to
Hooker
the
is.
sheet I see. Yeah, not Aussie.
Well, he fights. He fights out of City Kick, which is Zealand.
Yeah,
so,
no, I'm just saying.
I don't know. Corrected.
I don't think they like being called to each other's side. But look, he's a 270 underdog going into this fight. Over under in this fight's 1.5. By the way, minus 175 to the over as well here. So that tells me that they think this could be a quick fight as well. By the way, Saint Denis fought Dariush last time.
Well, Dariush it knocked him out. Dariush, if you sneeze on him, he gets knocked out, and he finished Dariush in 30 seconds.
First round, 16 seconds to be exact.
Yeah, yes. he was 30. I exaggerated. he wasn't even tested.
You gave him too much credit in that fight from there. But so Hooker's live in this. You think possibly live in this?
Yeah, and just for reference sake, he is City Kickboxing, fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand. So born in Auckland, New Zealand. So thank you. I stand corrected.
Oh, I know.
Hooker
I don't want you starting an international war here with two countries that, not that they hate each other. I think they just don't like.
No, they're neighborly. But to me, New Zealand and Australia are the same. I shouldn't say that. I'll just say they're both from. He's from Oceania.
How did this fight open for Saint Denis? Out of curiosity,
Saint Denis opens 400. Now he's down to 355. That was
340 right now. Yeah.
That's a bad number. That opener.
Yeah. So that says something there, right? And then of course we got the final fight of the day: Alexander Volkanovski against Diego Lopez.
Yeah, this is a rematch from a fight last March where Volkanovski won a unanimous decision. He got poked or hit in one of his eyes, and in the third round he flailed a little bit because he was having trouble seeing.
He kept going, I can't see.
He won the fight with his feet. He won the fight with his guile and experience. And Lopez was quick to say that I was just trying for the knockout and I was young and Lopez took one fight here in October or November against Jan Silva, and he was getting beat. And Silva, being as aggressive as he is, went after the kill, and Lopez did a spinning elbow, hit him in the temple, and finished him. And now Lopez gets the benefit of stepping over the number one ranked contender in the weight class to get another crack at Volkanovski, and seemingly a no-win fight for Volkanovski. But Volkanovski don't care. Yeah, he's 37, and Lopez is 31, so there's a 6-year age difference. Lopez 5 inches taller, got a reach advantage. But to me, this fight was won last year on the feet. Volkanovski was just too deft, too beguiling for Lopez to catch up with. Lopez is convinced that he's done everything he needs to do to win the title. The line is about where it was when it closed a year ago. I don't know what Lopez could have done in that year time, especially with the fight with Jan Silva, to have closed the gap from a year ago, despite the fact that Volkanovski is 37. And so I do lean to Volkanovski here. You're getting a pretty decent price on him. I don't know if I'm
minus 148.
Yeah, I don't know if I am or how I am going to bet that fight just yet. I'm going to watch, weigh in, see what transpires.
Which is why you follow Lou on Twitter, folks, and then listen to the Bout Business podcast. Over, under on this, 4.5. Obviously a 5-round fight here. Minus 115 to the over, minus 115 to the under as well.
Yes, and so now every line on this fight is 4.5, and if you read my article that was posted Tuesday on my webpage or on the VSIN webpage, there were 3.5s out there. And I said, when I see in main events, when I see 3.5s and 4.5s, almost always, they always go to 4.5. So why wouldn't you, when you see a 3.5, take that over 3.5 and gain yourself some advantage? That's what I wrote. I don't know if anyone did it or not. I didn't do it because I really wasn't that involved in that fight just yet. I'm still doing my work. But that's what happens when you see main events that are 5 rounds lined 3.5. They rarely stay there.
Was that in the look-ahead number that comes out, 2 weeks before the fight, or are we talking a week before the fight when that happens?
No. Lines come out a week or two ahead of time, but the totals don't come out until a few days before.
Okay, so that's
these guys aren't stupid.
I was just wondering when to look for that stuff. Is what I was getting at.
That came out like Tuesday.
Okay.
When I was writing my article, because sometimes I have to wait for them to give me a total on the main event.
To do
In fact, often on the Bout Business, often in the Sneak Teep podcast, I don't give totals because they're not out yet.
Okay. So you like Volkanovski in this one?
I just don't know what Lopez has done outside of his youth and hunger. And not only that last fight was in Miami. Volkanovski did the traveling. Now he's at home. He's going to have his family there. The crowd is going to just electrify the place and him. And Lopez has to travel and go into foreign territory. I just don't know what he's done to be able to earn it. Now, if the way you get to Volkanovski is you touch him and he goes. But you got to be special. You got to have power and quickness because only Topuria and the champion at 155 and Makhachev, the champion at 70, have been able to do that to Volk. So we'll see.
Yeah, and I do remember last time when he fought, he kept complaining about the eye, and it was kind of an interesting deal. So I wonder, if, I'm not going to say it's going to be in the back of his mind, but Lopez does come close to those eyeballs if something might
trigger he ain't thinking about that. What he's thinking about,
what I'm saying, when it happens,
he's thinking about the $100,000 performance of the night.
Yeah, right.
That's what the Volkanovski's thinking about. He wants to finish this kid and put an exclamation point on it.
I've come to like Lopez in his fights. I do like the way he fights and everything. So I am looking forward to this. But like I said, my limited knowledge here, you explained me to not do what I was thinking. About.
Hey, it should be a good
chance,
fight.
Right?
You know what? You got to do your own handicapping. You got to do your own handicapping.
Sometimes you take a chance, right?
I remember as a young kid sitting around one day, listening to all these Italians. It was a Monday night football game, and I liked the Bears. And I was the last guy to go. So the first guy started talking. He gives 5 minutes on the Packers. Next guy, 7 Packers. Lou, what do you think? Yeah, I like the Packers. And then the Bears went and won. And I swore to myself, never again am I listening to anyone else.
Yeah.
I'm going to lose my own money on my own side. So if you think Lopez, I would.
Well, no, I'm not just saying he's going to win it. I was thinking more of it's
going to be a tough fight.
How he'll do it there, but I just come to that's my problem. Is I'm like a typical fan. I'm like, I like the way that guy fights, and then he gets in there and gets slaughtered because it's a bad.
I don't
matchup.
see anybody getting slaughtered in this one. If there's a finish, I think it's late, and I think it's Volk. But
last week's favorites went 8-3 in the UFC in week 1. So I know you like several dogs in this fight here coming up. So
I think so. I think I'm going to have a few dogs on my sheet this week.
Yeah. By the way, last year it was 65.7% favorites result in 2020.
Normally it's 62 or 63. 2 years ago it was 67. Last year 65. Yeah. So I'm treading lightly with dogs, but when I see them, I'm going to have to try them. We had a good one last week with Krylov, and we had a couple parlays that came in. I was disappointed that the Charles Johnson did because it wasted our O'Malley bet. Yeah. So that's
and it was interesting because last week I did this thing where I took the big heavy favorites, including just forgot her name, not Rose, the other one, and I had her in there as well. A couple of thousand favorites, and I was like, I'm just going to throw a quick $10 on that. Big favorites. It'd have to be a monumental upset. And then in that fight with Rose, I was like, oh, no, my girl just lost and ruined my parlay.
It was Harrison, but that came off the fight card.
Yeah, so then I was like, oh, no, here we go. So
yeah, you got I mean, it's one thing when bettors lose on a bad decision like that, But dadgummit, I feel terrible for these athletes
Oh,
that
the
put in
fighter.
that kind of work.
I saw Rose after the fight.
She was crying.
She was signing autographs for
Bawling.
a fan, just crying. And then I saw her. I don't know what show it is. It comes up on my feed, and I watch him all the time. But he actually, showed her in the hospital. She did a video for his show and everything in the hospital right before she goes into surgery, and just, and I'm just like, man, the UFC, in my opinion, needs to focus on more of that, like behind the scenes type thing, because it's interesting because you're like, oh, like the whole Patty, his wife picture, like just came into what a beating that guy took, and he stood in there for all 5 rounds, and stuff to that effect. Because it's easy to just go, whatever, they lost. Yeah, but you don't know what they're going through for the week.
They do a lot of that
so.
pre-fight. So if you go to MMA Junkie or MMA Fighting or even the UFC.com, you'll see, a lot of videos and programs that hype each fight card.
Yeah, because it is amazing. Because, I mean, Rose, if she can't sneeze or blow her nose for 3 months and she has to have a tube in there, and she's an older gal as well, when's her next fight going to be? Is she going to have another fight here in the MMA? So that leads to those types of questions, when they disappear out there. So, Lou, going to be another good weekend, another numbered fight here, and I think we go Apex fight after this one. So we'll step down a little bit in competition.
Now you're catching me unaware of what's coming up, boy, Steve. I got to be on my toes with you.
You don't have to worry about that because I got you, Lou. I caught myself napping.
I think it is a UFC. I think it is an Apex fight.
I'm pretty sure it is. It is an Apex.
Who's the headliners?
Meta Apex, Bautista, and Oliveira.
Yeah, so Mario Bautista fights at the MMA Lab, and I'll be seeing him on Saturday. And he's fighting this guy. His name is Oliveira.
Yeah.
I think they call him Lock Dog or something like that. He's flamboyant, strong. He's got a bunch of popularity and everything. And I'll tell you next week, I'll have a very strong opinion on that.
I'll be honest with you here. I mean, this is an Apex fight that has a bunch of fighters that I recognize. So this isn't your typical. Lou, tell me about this Apex fight.
No, you're right, because you
got Burrialta in this fight from Canada. You've got Ryan Spann in this fight as well.
Yeah.
Coming up as well. So there's fighters, and then, of course, Bautista and
listen to Steve.
Oliveira. So usually Apex, maybe Paramount's going to give us some fun Apex fights.
I think what you got is because there's only 5 fights in the first 2 months, 5 fight cards in the first 2 months, they had to get a lot of guys spots, and so you're going to see some name recognition. Yeah. And we'll see as we get into March and April. We'll get more fight cards, and then we'll see
spread out a little bit more.
We'll see a lot more athletes.
Because usually the Apex fights, I watched them, but I was like, I don't know any of these people.
Well, they increased the seating for the Apex substantially, so it'll sound a little better in there.
They called it the Meta Apex now, getting sponsorships and all that stuff.
It's all about the money, baby.
Collect that money out there. So, folks, Lou, every Thursday next week we'll talk props out there, a little bit more Super Bowl as well. So come and join us then. For everybody else, catch them on the podcast if you missed it. Share it with your friends out there, folks, as Lou's getting us ready. About Business, Friday morning, weigh-ins tonight, but that'll be out tomorrow morning. Get your after weigh-in thoughts here from Lou going into Saturday's main card there in Australia coming up as well. So, folks, appreciate you joining us. McCollum on Business. We did a morning show today. Is up on demand right now as well. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. 8 o'clock here for the main event.